This year's Serpentine Gallery Map Marathon explores and interrogates the practices and potentials of mapping in the world today and its relation to multiple disciplines like art, literature, architecture, science and film. The idea was really, through the topic of mapping, to bring together all the discipline and build bridges, to somehow make once more an homage to the great György Kepes, who once said that we should make daily attempts to go beyond the fear of pooling knowledge. What can be maybe said is that a marathon always hides another marathon. So it's not a kind of a continental format, it's more an archipelago kind of format, as Edouard Glissant would say. Many marathons within the marathon, and we will have a real polyphony of maps over the next 2 days. We have several marathons within the marathon. John Brockman and Edge are a very important partnership already in the experiment marathon, but this year again, John Brockman will moderate a session tomorrow, which he curated. But more importantly also, in addition to that, there is actually a whole exhibition within the marathon of maps on Edge. So I'd like to invite you all to visit the Edge website, because on an almost hourly basis, maps from all over the world, from the greatest scientists, come in on the Edge website. So if you go to www.edge.org, you will see this growing extraordinary collection of maps John Brockman has brought together. And it will actually be, and that's the whole idea also of the marathon, that there's also a book machine, that all these maps by the different practitioners will then, at the end, become a book. Another collaboration which I'd like to emphasize is the collaboration with DLD, the Digital Life and Design, Stephanie Czerny and Marcel Reichert, because everything really in terms of maps started when earlier this year we had the panel, actually Maps for the 21st Century in Munich, where we brought together artists and architects together with web designers to discuss the maps. And that's maybe also for the first time that a marathon has such a strong connection to the digital world, because maps are, besides social network, one of the biggest stories on the internet, and we wanted to make that bridge this year very, very strongly. But really, to talk about beginnings, I have to talk about Alighiero Boetti. Alighiero Boetti, whom I met as a teenager in 1985, and who in our very first encounter taught me a lot and taught me a lot about map. Boetti's extraordinary collaborations, first in Afghanistan and later in Pakistan, intertwined aesthetic and political concerns, craftsmanship, and the physical journey of the artist, as well as the negotiation of linguistic and physical borders. With the embroidered maps of the world, Boetti stated, I didn't invent anything, neither the shapes nor the colors. Another beginning which has to be emphasized, and that leads us to our first speakers today, Richard Hamilton and Eyal Weizmann, is that we can really say, in terms of this marathon, everything started with Richard Hamilton. Because it was actually, and I have the catalog here somewhere, actually when we were about a year and a half ago starting to toy with this and play around with this topic, that one of the first maps which arrived was the extraordinary map Richard had made for the project. And these projects are very often, with all the previous marathons, the poetry, the experiments, they grow very slowly over several years. And Richard's map had arrived. It was in the process also when we worked actually on the exhibition Modern Moral Matters at the Serpentine Gallery, which featured the map of Palestine 2009 and 2010. And it was actually in the process of working on this exhibition that the first encounter happened with Richard Hamilton and Eyal Weizmann. And it is so wonderful that today this so far unrealized project to bring actually Richard and Eyal together in a public conversation is happening. Richard Hamilton has embraced so many different media since the 1950s. If I would read here a list of all his exhibitions, we would have a new marathon, which would be the List Marathon, because it's such a long list, including painting, printmaking, installation, typography, and industrial design. He was not only one of the leading instigators of pop art and a key member of the independent group, but has then ever since developed so many different dimensions of his work. He's also a pioneer of the marathons, has been participating in the 2006 interview marathon with Rem Koolhaas. Eyal Weizmann is an architect and director of the Center for Research Architecture at Goldsmiths, University of London. He studied architecture at the Architectural Association and completed his PhD at the London Consortium at Birkbeck College. Since 2007, he is a member of the architectural collective Decolonizing Architecture in Beit Sazur. Weizmann has taught, lectured, curated, and organized conferences in many institutions worldwide. He is also the recipient of the James Sterling Memorial Lecture Prize for 2006 and 2007, and in 2010 delivers the Edward Sy Memorial Lecture at Warwick. A very warm welcome to Richard Hamilton and Eyal Weizmann.